Hi guys, I wanted a greenhouse for the garden and I wondered, can you get a decent greenhouse for £340? So I had a look on Amazon, found one from Outside Sunny, ordered it, came within the week, but now I've got to tell Pete that he's got a job to do.
Look what Sherry's bought. Let me turn you around. Yes, she's got herself a greenhouse. Guess who's got to put it together? Anyway, I'm not going to show you every operation of this because I think it'll get a bit boring. But I'll just give you a general idea. They've sent all the bits, look. I must admit, some of this does feel a bit flimsy. But we'll have to see how it goes. Maybe when it's all together it'll be fine. They've done the usual thing. They've sent packages of screws and bolts and fittings, all labelled, good, like that. What I tend to do, especially when working outside, is I put all the separate bits in different pots along with the labels, so I know what I'm doing. So there's some instructions here. If you look at this, there's a book full of it. Loads. Okay, but there are customer services and videos on the back. I think there's some videos there showing you what to do. Anyway, let's get started. Our ground is really slopey here, so I've drilled holes in the bottom of these and just put a bolt through, because I'm going to cement it into the ground and that'll give it an extra bit of holding power. Why I'm doing that is because up here it gets really windy in the winter, and we've already lost one of our greenhouses, so I don't want to lose this one. Right, let me show you what I've done so far. Turn you around so you can see. Look, that's the base. Put it all together, dug a trench because the ground, as I say, is so uneven. What we'll do eventually is here we're going to bring this out wider. All these are going to be paths up here. I've just used postcrete. You can see these pretty thin, but that's held in well. That's not going to go anywhere now. So that's the first section. Next thing to do is to start building the greenhouse on top of this frame. So let's get going. Right, I've dug out all the first sections that go on the top of here, on top of the base, and now what I've got to do is to bolt all those on. Okay, that's that finished. I've got the first subframe on, and it was quite fiddly getting the nuts and bolts done because the nut underneath is not on a flat surface, so you can't hold your spanner flat against it. A little bit fiddly, and you also want to make sure that these line up before you do your bolts up. These have got elongated holes in. I made the mistake of doing one corner first. What I recommend is putting all your bolts and nuts on loosely and then lining them up and then tightening them. That looks complicated, doesn't it? Well, that's my next bit. So see you back here in about 2 hours. In order to fix the corner posts on here, you have to put some bolts through, but they don't go through from the outside because I suspect they're getting away with the glass. So what they've done is they've done it so that you slide the bolts up in these little grooves like that. There's two of them, one there and one there. But then if you put the bolts in now, you can't get the corner bracket on. And this is what they don't tell you. What you have to do is put the bolt in from the inside like that, through that one, bit fiddly, like that, and like that. See, that's wrong. Should go in that way round like that. Okay. And then you put your bracket on, lining the bolts up with these two grooves here. Which sounds quite simple, but it's a bit fiddly. Ah, got it. Right. So as I said, it's fiddly. Then these brackets, there's a clip here that clips under there to give it extra strength. So I have to put that on, and then that. Bear with me, we'll get there. Not very good left-handed. So do that up. This one on there with a nut. And you can't get at the head of the bolt, obviously, so I've found a 10mm spanner is the best to use. Hold this upright, square, perpendicular, and make sure you've got your bracket up against the underside there when you do your nut up. This could take actually some help, if you persevere. There you go, you can get it. Left-handed again, not very good. And the last one, same thing. Make sure you got your bracket up, make sure it doesn't drop when you're doing your nut up. Oh, you drop your spanner down an hole. There we go. That's it. Now if I can get up, we can do the rest. I say if I can get up because, believe it or not, it was my Sherry and my birthday last month. Hey, I'm 80. So I have trouble getting up. She's far younger, so she doesn't. So I've got all the bottom bit done and the frame done. Now I've got to put these bits on to hold the bottom panels in. This should be easy, but if you're coming closer, I'll show you something. These you've got to put on by putting the bolts on this slidey bit. So if you're coming closer, I'll show you what the problem is. Right, these go in these holes here. The panel's got to go in the groove here. This groove here at the end. So the bottom panel goes there, top panel goes there. This bolt's on to hold them all tight. Now this is the problem, when you put this on here, you've already got all this bolted together here. And you can't pull the panel out enough to get these bolts in. So what you have to do is you have to loosen this bar right way across. You don't pull your panel out at the same time. You have to loosen this bar right the way across, fiddle these in, and then tighten both sides down. And you're going to have to do that all the way around. And it doesn't tell you anything about that in the instructions. Just a tip for you. Hi peeps, it's done. Got the old greenhouse finished. Took about 13 to 14 hours to do on my own, with a little bit of help from Sherry at one point to hold the ridge up. What do I think? Well, I've put a few bits on the video before this about where they could have been plainer in their instruction booklet of how to put it together. leaving that aside, I think the only other complaint I would have is the panels. The panels are very, very slim in thickness, and they're very flexible. Now they do recommend, and I haven't done this yet, but we will be doing it between us, that if you're in a windy area, you put some sealant around the outside here on every panel, and you put some screws through which they supply, self tap-in screws that you just screw in and they go right through, and they've got little pits that you put on the back of them to stop you scratching yourself. They recommend that in a windy area. Well, we live in an extra windy area, so what we're also going to do as an extra precaution is put some tape down the inside of each panel onto the frame. If it blows away after that, there's nothing we can do. So I would have said my only down point therefore is the panels, and I think they could have done a bit more to make them less susceptible to the wind. Possibly making the edges, putting a bit of a stiffening on them, or making the frames themselves slightly wider, so that you get more of the edge of the panel into the slot. That of course would put the price up. Your choice, isn't it? Maybe I should make two, one for less windy places and one for more. What would I give it? What would I say? I would say it's actually quite easy, if very fiddly, to put up. Sometimes you have to undo work you've already done a little bit to make it all slack, to get another piece in to make it fit properly, because you don't know quite how to position it when you tighten the bolts up. Most of the slots most of the holes you're using in the framework are slotted to give you a little bit of slack. Where do I put it when I'm assembling it? Put it right, or put it left, or try and get it centre. So don't be surprised if you have to undo and slacken off a few of the nuts and bolts as you're assembling it. Apart from that, it was fairly easy to do. It took a little bit of working out on the instruction booklet. They could have made that easier. So I would give it 8 out of 10. Well done. Out sunny. Good piece of equipment.
Hi guys, greenhouse is built thanks to Petey, and what do I think? Well, like Pete, I think a good 8 out of 10, but I'd like to see how it's going to stand up to our atrocious weather and howling gales here in the north of Scotland. So maybe an update next year to see if it's still here. See you later. Bye.